War is not always fought with guns, bombs, or armies marching on battlefields. The most dangerous wars are fought in silence, across boardrooms, in whispered conversations, in the shadows of politics, and inside the fragile hearts of men and women who don't even realize they are being conquered. The cruel truth is this: the most devastating defeats happen long before the first shot is fired. You don't lose when your enemy attacks. You lose when you fail to see the invisible hands pulling the strings, the mind games setting the stage, the traps disguised as choices. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He knew that power was not about strength. It was about perception. The one who bends the mind never needs to break the body. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Victory without fighting demands a darkness within you. It requires the ability to be cold when others are warm, patient when others are desperate, silent when others are screaming. It asks you to manipulate, to divide, to use fear not as chaos, but as control. This is not the soft, moral world you were taught in Sunday school. This is the raw arena where the rules of survival are written in shadows, and mercy is the first weapon stripped away. The question is not whether wars exist in your life. It is whether you are winning them without even lifting a hand. Machiavelli's secret is as terrifying as it is liberating. The most powerful ruler, the most unshakable warrior, is the one who never has to fight. He lets others destroy themselves, while he pulls the strings from the shadows. This is not just history. This is your workplace, your relationships, your ambitions, your daily battles. The war you are fighting right now may already be lost, unless you learn the ruthless art of winning without fighting. Welcome to the Forgotten Chapters, where we do not whisper the truths history tried to bury. We drag them out into the open, raw, and unpolished. This is not a place for comfort. It is a place for confrontation, for tearing off the mask of morality that leaders, rulers, and even our own minds wear so skillfully. Here we explore the shadows of human nature, the ruthless strategies of survival, and the dark wisdom that has shaped empires, broken families, and redefined power. If you came here for pretty lies, turn away now. But if you are ready for the uncomfortable truths that few dare to speak, you belong here. Machiavelli himself warned that men are quick to forget the death of their father, but never the loss of their inheritance. That's not just a quote. It is a map into the human soul. It shows you where loyalty bends, where trust breaks, and where true war begins, not with weapons, but with weakness. And this is what the Forgotten Chapters reveals: the strategies that win long before the enemy realizes the game has begun. Every story here is a mirror, forcing you to see not just the villains of history, but the battles raging silently within your own life. So as we open this chapter, How to Win Every War Without Fighting, understand this: you will not leave the same. You will see the battlefield that surrounds you, even in your relationships, your career, your dreams. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Wars are rarely what they seem. The battlefield you imagine, armies clashing, swords striking, bombs exploding, is only the final act, the loudest part of a play that began long before. The real war starts in silence. It starts in whispers, in rumors, in the small decisions no one notices until it's too late. Machiavelli understood that if you can control the invisible war, the hidden currents of perception, fear, and ambition, then the visible war never has to be fought. The most powerful victories are invisible. They happen in the mind, in the soul, in the secret corridors of power where no blood is spilled, but entire kingdoms are lost. Look closely at history, and you will see this truth everywhere. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union lasted decades without a single open battlefield between the two. Yet billions lived under the shadow of annihilation. Who won? The one who mastered strategy, economics, and narrative. Not the one with the biggest arsenal. Power shifted not through missiles, but through silence, patience, and manipulation. This was war without war, and Machiavelli would have called it the highest form of victory. Now bring this into your own life. You are at war every day, whether you see it or not. The coworker undermining you quietly in meetings. The friend who envies your progress but smiles in your face. The partner who plays games of silence and guilt instead of honesty. These are invisible wars, and the tragedy is that most people lose them because they don't even recognize they're fighting. They swing wildly at shadows, bleeding themselves dry, while the true enemy never even lifts a blade. To survive, you must train your eyes to see beyond the obvious. Do not be distracted by noise, by anger, by the theater of conflict. Ask yourself, what is really at stake? Who is pulling the strings? What is the war beneath the war? When you begin to see the invisible war, you stop being a pawn. You become the one who sets the board. You understand that silence can be louder than screams and patience sharper than any sword. This is Machiavelli's first ruthless secret. You are not safe simply because no one is attacking you. The war is already here. It is being fought in whispers, in shadows, in hidden motives. And until you see it, you are already losing. Repeat this affirmation. I open my eyes to the invisible battles. I will not be blind. I choose to see the war before it reaches me. Power is not only about strength, it is about story. Machiavelli knew that whoever controls the story controls the war. Armies march because they believe in a cause. Citizens obey because they believe in an image of order. Even rivals hesitate when the narrative around you makes resistance look like suicide. The sword cuts flesh, but the story shapes destiny. Control perception, and you will never need to fight. Look back at Julius Caesar. He did not simply conquer Gaul, he conquered Rome through words. His carefully written commentaries on the Gallic War turned brutal battles into heroic epics, framing him not as a power-hungry general, but as Rome's savior. By the time Caesar marched on Rome, the people already believed his rise was destiny. His enemies were villains. His ambition was duty. That is the power of narrative. It makes conquest look like sacrifice, and ambition look like service. Machiavelli would say Caesar had already won before he crossed the Rubicon. Now think of the modern world. Wars are not only fought on land, they are fought on screens. Politicians do not need truth when they have the loudest platform. Corporations don't need to be moral when they control the story consumers tell themselves. And in your life, the same rule applies. People will treat you based on the story they believe about you. If you let others define that story, you will always fight uphill battles. If you control it, if you shape how you are seen, you win before the fight begins. This does not mean lying. It means understanding that perception is reality for most. Your silence will be twisted, your mistakes magnified, your enemies will spread their version before you even speak. The question is, do you wait for the story to be written against you? Or do you write it first? Machiavelli would tell you to seize the pen before they sharpen their swords. Protect your image, guard your reputation, and project strength even in your weakest hour. If people believe you cannot be defeated, half the war is already won. This is the second ruthless secret. Truth matters less than belief. Control what people believe about you, and you control their actions. Your greatest shield is not steel, but story. Repeat this affirmation. I shape my story before others can write it for me. My words, my image, my presence, these are my weapons. No army, no empire, no rival is ever as strong as they appear. The illusion of unity makes them dangerous, but unity is fragile. Machiavelli's ruthless wisdom was simple. You do not always need to fight your enemies, just divide them. When people turn on each other, they no longer have the strength to turn on you. The clever strategist does not waste energy clashing head-on. He whispers doubts, fans the flames of envy, and lets the enemy tear themselves apart. Victory comes not from brute force, but from fracture. History is filled with this tactic. Colonial rulers knew they could not dominate entire nations by sheer strength, so they exploited tribal rivalries, drawing borders not to unite but to divide. Brothers who once fought together were suddenly made into enemies, and while they bled each other dry, foreign rulers tightened their grip. Machiavelli would have smiled, because this is the essence of his strategy. Weaken without fighting and rule without resistance. In your own life, division is more subtle, but no less real. Perhaps in your workplace, two colleagues compete for recognition. You don't need to fight both. You only need to make their rivalry burn hotter. In your relationships, those who gossip about you can often be turned against each other by planting the smallest seed of suspicion. It is not cruelty. It is survival. And the one who survives is the one who learns to guide conflict without stepping into it. But there is a warning. Division must be controlled. Destroy an enemy completely, and you may create a martyr. Break them just enough that they cannot stand united, but not enough that they vanish into legend. Machiavelli's brilliance was in balance. Divide to weaken, but never destroy so fully that you give your rivals a cause greater than themselves. You want them distracted, not desperate. Broken, but not brave. This is the third ruthless secret. Your enemy's greatest strength is their unity. Shatter it, and you will never have to draw your sword. Let them bleed each other dry, while you remain untouched in the shadows. Repeat this affirmation. I weaken opposition not with battle, but with division. I let rivals destroy themselves while I remain unbroken. Few ideas from Machiavelli have shaken the world as much as this. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. People recoil at the ruthlessness of those words, yet history keeps proving him right. Love is fragile. Love bends when circumstances shift, when emotions cool, when loyalty becomes inconvenient. But fear anchors itself deep in the human heart. Fear keeps people loyal when love fails. Fear silences betrayal before it even dares to whisper. Machiavelli was not telling us to become monsters. He was telling us to survive in a world where love alone is never enough. Look at the rulers who built empires. They may have been adored in public, but beneath that affection was always a threat of fear. Without it, loyalty dissolves. Without it, obedience crumbles. Even modern corporations mirror this truth. Charismatic CEOs who are admired often weave fear quietly into their presence. Deadlines are met not only because employees love the mission, but because they fear the consequences of failure. The balance is subtle. Too much fear, and you spark rebellion. Too little, and love alone will abandon you. In life, the same principle applies. Friends may claim loyalty, but when temptation comes, love often breaks. Partners may promise devotion, but fear of losing you holds more weight than affection alone. Even in your own personal battles, ask yourself, are people loyal because they love you, or because they dare not cross you? The strongest position is to hold both, but when the two are in conflict, Machiavelli says, choose fear. This does not mean cruelty. It means presence. It means establishing boundaries so strong they inspire respect. It means walking with such confidence that betrayal feels dangerous. When others sense you are not to be trifled with, you command their loyalty without begging for it. And when that respect blends with genuine love, you become unshakable. This is the fourth ruthless secret. Love fades, but fear lingers. Use it with wisdom, apply it with balance, and you will never be left unprotected. Say this affirmation loudly. I command respect that blends love with fear. I do not beg for loyalty, I inspire it and enforce it. Most people believe victory belongs to the fastest, the loudest, the one who strikes first. Machiavelli would laugh at such impatience. He knew that real power is not found in haste. It is found in waiting. Patience is not passive. It is a weapon. It is the art of holding your fire until your enemy has already wasted their strength. It is the discipline of watching opportunities ripen while others rush blindly into traps. The one who waits does not waste blood or energy. He lets his rivals exhaust themselves and then walks in to claim the prize. History bows to this truth. Consider China's long strategy on the global stage, not rushing into open conflict, but building slowly, silently, through economics, infrastructure, influence. While others scramble for short-term victories, patience lays the groundwork for domination that lasts centuries. Machiavelli would have called this the highest form of war, not the reckless rush of the impatient, but the slow tightening of a noose that the enemy never sees until it is too late. In your own life, patience is often the difference between ruin and triumph. Think of the desperate who rush into arguments, burning bridges with words they can't take back. Or those who leap into opportunities too quickly, only to discover the ground beneath them was a trap. The patient one waits, watches, and times their move with precision. When they step forward, it looks effortless. But behind that moment lies the discipline of restraint. Patience is not weakness. It is controlled strength. It is the hunter waiting in silence while the prey grows careless. It is the leader who holds back in negotiations, letting others reveal their desperation. It is the man or woman who swallows the urge to react, because they know reaction is exactly what their opponent wants. Machiavelli's ruthless wisdom reminds us, the one who can wait owns the game. This is the fifth ruthless secret. Impatience costs kingdoms, but patience builds empires. The enemy of your enemy is time, and if you master it, you need no other ally. My patience is not weakness, it is my weapon. I wait, I watch, and I strike only when the moment guarantees victory. The loudest victories are often the weakest. When enemies know they've been defeated, they cling to anger, to revenge, to the dream of rising again. But the most ruthless victory is the one so quiet, so subtle, that your opponent never even realizes they lost. They walk away believing the outcome was their choice. They surrender thinking it was freedom. And you, unseen, untouched, become the silent architect of their fate. This was Machiavelli's most terrifying lesson. The greatest power is not in crushing resistance, but in making resistance unnecessary. History shows this everywhere. Consider the rise of empires that absorbed their enemies not with violence, but with culture, trade, and influence. The conquered adopted new ways willingly, thinking they were choosing progress, when in truth, they were walking willingly into submission. No rebellions, no martyrs, no scars, just silence. The strongest chains are not forged of iron, but of belief. In your own life, this principle is sharper than any sword. Imagine winning an argument not by shouting, but by guiding someone to think your conclusion was their idea all along. Picture dismantling opposition not by crushing it, but by gently steering it until it no longer stands in your way. This is not weakness, it is mastery. For what is more powerful than victory without resistance, control without force, obedience without rebellion? The danger lies in arrogance. If you boast of your power, if you let others see the strings you are pulling, the illusion shatters. True victory demands humility, silence, and restraint. Let your enemies dance while believing they chose the music. Let rivals surrender while thinking they made the decision freely. The one who conquers like this leaves no wounds to heal, no hatred to fester, no spark for revenge. This is Machiavelli's final ruthless secret. The ultimate war is won without a battle, without scars, without the defeated even realizing they were conquered. It is the art of power so refined that it becomes invisible. I win so silently that my enemies believe they chose my victory. My power is unseen yet undeniable. Wars are not always declared, yet they are always being fought. In your workplace, in your family, in your relationships, in your own mind, battles are shaping your future every single day. Most people walk blindly into them, swinging at shadows, bleeding in fights they never needed to fight. But Machiavelli left us a map, a ruthless guide that reveals the truth. The greatest victories are the ones that demand no battle at all. You have now seen the 6 ruthless secrets. The invisible war that begins in silence, the power of controlling the narrative, the art of dividing without destroying, the strength of fear over fleeting love, the discipline of patience as a weapon, and finally, the highest mastery, winning without your enemy even realizing they lost. These are not just lessons for kings and rulers, they are truths for anyone who dares to see life as it really is. Because every day, whether you admit it or not, you are on a battlefield. The question now is simple. Will you keep fighting with noise, desperation, and wasted energy? Or will you master the silent war? Will you keep letting others write your story, or will you seize the pen? Machiavelli's wisdom is dangerous because it forces you to see the world without illusions. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Welcome to the Forgotten Chapters, where the shadows speak louder than the light. If this truth has unsettled you, then it has already done its job. Subscribe, stay with us, because the wars you have yet to fight will demand more than courage. They will demand strategy. And here, we uncover it all.